How is it going, everyone? Happy Wednesday. Nick Marro, DFS here with Smitty and Occupy Fantasy, as always, helping you break down tonight's NBA DFS main slates on both DraftKings and FanDuel. We get a 7-gamer on both sites tonight. It is the NBA trade deadline tomorrow, I believe at 4 p.m. Eastern. A lot of moving parts right now. A lot of trades taking place. Some teams that aren't even trading players, resting a lot of guys this evening. So we get a lot of value to kind of work through. Few decent pay-ups, some interesting ownership. Smitty, what are your initial takes going into this one?
Yeah, should be a pretty crazy slate. Probably wouldn't play this one unless you could be around your computer all night, because we'll probably get some weird starting lineups.
Yeah, that's the thing. We talked about it last night right before we got off stream. The Pacers ended up starting Cam Jones, as we joked about. A few weird things happened. So not only do you have to worry about injuries, keep an eye on lineups as well. Obviously, trades could shake things up. So just more to deal with than there even usually is in NBA DFS. Appreciate Ben being here early. Shouts out to you, my man. Jose in here saying, which game is better to focus on? I think the answer is both. But as always, we'll go through game by game. Getting a lot of value from OKC. Shouts out to Cards. We got Heath in here as well. A Big Ed Senior. Appreciate you all being in here early. But without further ado, let's get into the game by game. First game on the slate. We got only one game at 7 o'clock. Pretty good one between the Nuggets and the Knicks. Nuggets on the road in Madison Square Garden. Knicks are favored at home, 226.5 point total. Still no Aaron Gordon or Cam Johnson for the Nuggets, but they do have Jokic and Christian Brown back now. Jokic's minutes seem to be capped around 33. I know this is a back-to-back, I believe. Yeah, they played yesterday against Detroit, only played 32 minutes. Played really well, though, in that spot. 33% usage, 55 fantasy points. We could get to him here if you do find the salary for him. I think Murray is the nugget I would get to more aggressively, even on the back-to-back, because shooters tend to do really well in Madison Square Garden. Other than that, it's tough, man. I don't really want to lock up any value spots in these early games. I guess Hardaway Jr. against his former team off the bench would be one if you're playing 150. But other than Jokic and Murray, I don't think there's much from the Nuggets for me, Smitty. How about you?
Yeah, not much for me either. It's mainly Jokic or Murray, and I don't think either one of them will be in a meaningful amount of my lineups, but they're fine to mix in as tournament plays.
Yep. On the other side of things here, we have the Knicks. I believe we just got word that Josh Hart is going to be out. He was on the injury report. No Miles McBride. Diawara is available, I guess, if you think that matters. But with no Josh Hart, I'm wondering, do we see the big lineup here with Mitchell Robinson starting, or they could go to Shamet? I'm guessing they go big, but with McBride not available either, could mean a few more minutes for someone like Tyler Kolek, who's been a decent value play at times. Landry Shamet should see extended run here. Again, we have really good value in that OKC game, a few of these other spots tonight. I don't know that I want to lock up too much here. But with Hart out, I think it does boost the upsides of the wings, Noji, and Bridges. You get to a little bit more Brunson or even Cat, whose price is definitely too low over on DK. Don't mind those four starters. Interested to see what the lineup looks like. I'm guessing we see Mitchell Robinson starting next to Cat, in which case wouldn't mind getting to a little bit of Mitchell Robinson, but again, don't really want to tie up too much value in this early game. Smitty, any love for the Knicks here with no Josh Hart?
Yeah, that's pretty much where I'm at. Assuming Mitchell Robinson does start, he's probably my favorite play from here, but then again, he's center only, so makes it kind of tough. I think OG and Bridges are both fine to get to. Brunson, without Hart, I feel like Brunson is a little bit better, but still not someone I'm really running to click at almost 9K. So everyone just looks okay. Like you said, I'd rather save my roster spots.
Yep, right there with you, man. Next game on the slate here. Looks like we are waiting for some news. Only game at 7:30. We have the Minnesota Timberwolves taking on the Toronto Raptors. Minnesota, slight favorites on the road here, 226.5 point total. But we have Randall and Edwards as questionable. I do think they both play. Also worth mentioning, it seems like Minnesota is the leader in the clubhouse to be able to acquire Giannis. They did move Mike Conley in a salary dump. A lot of rumblings that they are one of the few teams that actually have a chance at acquiring him. There's also a chance that Giannis just stays with the Bucks until the offseason, but if he does move, it does seem very likely that it's going to be Minnesota. McDaniels sounds like he would be a big part of that deal. I do imagine maybe Gobert would move as well. We'd have to keep an eye on things. But as they stand, assuming this team isn't healthy, You can get to some Ant. I think he's fine as a tournament play. We have so much value on the slate. Any of these high ceiling plays are worth mixing in. If he's out and Randall's in, Randall would look really good. You can make a case for guys like Reed, Gobert against this Toronto front court. I don't know that I'll be doing it. But if we get both Edwards and Randall out, we're going to have to look to guys like DiVincenzo, obviously. Bones Highland would probably see a few more minutes. But right now, assuming this team is in and healthy, other than a little bit of Ant Edwards, I don't have much interest in them. Smitty, how about you?
Yep, pretty much the same. I think Anthony Edwards is firmly in play. Would have more interest in Bones if we weren't filled with value. Just with them getting rid of Conley, I think his minutes are pretty secure. I guess I still don't mind getting like a few percent if the field's playing none. That's pretty much it. If we get Randall and Edwards out, then it's pretty wide open. I think Bones would be comparable to the OKC value, and then Dante would be a pretty good mid-range value. But same thing as always with them two. I kind of always just lean they play because they both normally do.
Yeah, no, I tend to agree, man. Over on the Toronto side of things, Agbaji is now a Brooklyn Net. He's no longer with the team. AJ Lawson's going to be out. Jakob Poeltl's still out here as well. They're getting pretty healthy. Allegedly, RJ Barrett is someone they're considering trading. So if you're rostering him, just keep an eye on the news. Ingram, Barnes, quickly all look okay. Again, they're all kind of priced where they should be. I'm not really prioritizing any of these guys. Don't love the matchup here against Gobert for Murray, Boyles, or Sandro. On a smaller slate, maybe you can make a case for them. I don't think we need to do it here tonight necessarily. Not a great matchup. Healthy team, priced where they should be. Kind of a recipe to fade, in my opinion, Smitty. Any love for you for Toronto?
No, can't say I really like anybody here. I think Barrett's in play, at least at his price. And then Scotty's probably my favorite out of between like him and Ingram. Don't mind getting to Scotty. Getting quite a bit of ownership on FanDuel. I don't see myself getting to 17%, but I think he's playable at least.
Yep, right there with you. Let's move right into the 8 o'clock window now. We got the Celtics taking on the Rockets, two of the better defensive teams in the league. Very, very low, 210.5 point total. That is notable. On the Boston side of things, though, they're still kind of interesting. No Jaylen Brown, no Sam Hauser. Anthony Simons traded away. Jason Tatum is going to be out. They did acquire Vooch. He will not be available tonight, so just keep that in mind. But whenever Brown is out, we do like to get to White and Pritchard. I'll say this on this particular slate, they're not necessarily the force lock plays that they are in this situation because the matchup isn't great against Houston. This is a very, very low total. I do think they can both still get there, though, so feel free to play them. Keita, we said yesterday maybe it was his last game as the starter. It actually probably is today now as they wait for Vooch to come into the picture. But yeah, I think at his price, you can mix him in. Tough to call him a priority. Really, really sneaky play here, and it's gross, is Bailey Shireman. He's been getting spot starts lately. He's shown us a 25 to 30 point fantasy ceiling. So if you're trying to get different off of some of the OKC chalk, assuming he starts, I think there are crazier plays to pivot to. But again, the safe plays here for Boston, Pritchard White, they definitely make a lot of sense. You definitely want to get some exposure there. Other than that, tricky spot, Smitty. Which Boston Celtics are you keying in on?
Yeah, I think Pritchard and White are fine. Kind of like you, I don't really think they're must plays on this slate, but they both look pretty good. The model's trying to get me to play Jordan Walsh as the top DK value, which is interesting. Feels pretty scary, but probably someone that I'm going to at least be overweight on. I know the other night it was really like Barlow. I think we kind of dogged him. He was top of the DK value, and both of us said not to play him, and then he nuked the slate. So kind of hoping with Walsh, maybe he could do the same.
Yeah, I mean, it wouldn't surprise me. We saw him earlier in the season have some really big games. Minutes should be there for him tonight, but tough to know exactly what to expect. This does feel like a one-off game with Boston resting Jalen, waiting for Vooch to get into town. Over on the other side here, we do have the Houston Rockets. Steve Adams is still out. Kevin Durant is probable. No Dorian Finney-Smith. Obviously, Fred VanVleet out here as well. We did have a question come in from, let's see who it was. Jose, is Reed Shepherd starting? I do not think so. They got Amon Thompson in here tonight. It's probably going to be Eason, Durant, Smith, Sengun with Shepherd coming off the bench. You could also see Okogie starting over Shepherd. It's rare that Shepherd isn't running that second unit. You can make a case for KD or Sengun or Thompson here. Kind of similar to the Raptors, but more expensive. I think their big three is fine. Eason, though, is probably the easiest to get to, assuming he starts at the 2. Very great producer in terms of fantasy points per minute. Coming off a terrible game where he didn't take a ton of shots, still almost got there with really nothing going on for him offensively. Don't mind mixing him in, but again, just not a great matchup. Pretty healthy team, very low total. I think you can make a case for the starters. Not really something I'll be doing here, though, Smitty. How about you when it comes to Houston?
Yeah, overall, pretty tough team to get to. Don't see myself getting to much. But like you said, all the starters are in play in tournaments, but probably not going to have too much.
Yep. Tend to agree. All right, let's move into another game, during that 8 o'clock window. We have the New Orleans Pelicans taking on the Milwaukee Bucks. New Orleans pretty healthy tonight. DeJounte Murray, the only guy on the injury report of any relevance. He's been out for the whole year, though, so really nothing we need to consider there. Trey Murphy's prices come down a little bit. He looks good here. This is a very good matchup. There's going to be no Portis, obviously Giannis tonight. We'll talk about the Bucks in just a minute. But Murphy, Zion, Bey, I think they all look pretty good here at their respective price points. Seeing Herbert Jones projected to start at the 1 again, it's almost Murray and Bey that are doing more of the ball handling, though, so just keep that in mind. But again, I think any of the starters are fine to mix in. Fears has been losing minutes lately. Off the bench, I don't have a ton of interest there. But again, in summary, I think all the starters are kind of interesting. Bey would probably be first for me, followed by Murphy, then Zion, mostly just because of pricing. But I think all three of those guys look pretty solid here in a good matchup. Smitty, how do you feel about the Pels on the road?
Yep, pretty similar. I think Murphy and Bey are my two favorites here. Zion seems fine. And then Herb Jones, minutes have kind of been up. I don't mind mixing him in, but it's kind of hard on a slate where we have unlimited value. But overall, I would say Murphy, Bey. Don't mind a little bit of Queen as well.
Yep. Some interesting developments here in Milwaukee. Obviously, still waiting to hear if Giannis gets traded. He's going to be out tonight. Cole Anthony's probable. Gary Harris, Bobby Portis, Taurean Prince are out. Miles Turner is probable. Wrench in the works, though. We're getting Kevin Porter Jr. back today. This is not necessarily something I was expecting. We only have him for 25 minutes. That could cut into Ryan Rollins a little bit. At the same time, I do still like Rollins here. The price feels inflated, but he's been dominating this team in terms of usage. I do imagine the minutes he's off the floor are going to make up that 25 minutes or some of those minutes that Kevin Porter will be on the floor without him. So I don't think it cuts into him too much. I still like him here. I'm never someone who likes to play Kyle Kuzma, but with Portis and Giannis both out, he's probably going to start at the 4. I do think it's probably necessary to get to him a little bit. Coming off a really good game, too, where he had 57 fantasy points against the Bulls. If you're ever going to play Kuzma, I do think tonight might be the night. Good matchup here for Miles Turner as well, who's really kind of emerged as a high upside play with Giannis out of the lineup, coming off 2 shaky games, but the ceiling is there. This is a much better matchup than what he's been dealing with lately, so you can make a case for him. It's weird, man. I'm getting some Kuzma here. I don't mind Rollins. I don't trust the minutes on Porter Jr., but it's enough for me to maybe lower my Rollins exposure slightly. Other than that, not too much from Milwaukee for me. Smitty, how about you?
Yeah, pretty similar. I played a ton of Kuzma yesterday, which felt gross. He did it, though, so I was pretty happy with that. Miles Turner, I do think, is one of the better plays from Milwaukee. Just really good matchup against the Pelicans. The minutes have been there. KPJ is not really going to affect him. Rollins would be the one I'm probably more willing to get away from just at his ownership. But overall, I still think he's fine. Great matchup going against New Orleans. AJ Green, also, I will mention, he hasn't been bad, but getting KPJ back might hurt him a little bit. Other than that, that's pretty much it. I don't really want to play anyone else. Pete Nance has been getting good minutes, but we have OKC, so.
Yeah, it's a little thin. It's funny, Pete Nance definitely out producing what I thought he would at the NBA level, but good on him. Taking advantage of some of those games without Giannis available. Now let's move into maybe the biggest game on the slate. We got the OKC Thunder taking on the San Antonio Spurs. Thunder tonight, slight underdogs on the road, 218.5 point total, but their injury report is littered with names here. We got Jalen Williams, the good Jalen Williams. He's going to be out. No Topic or Sorber. They were out all year, though. AJ Mitchell, Chet Holmgren, Hartenstein, SGA, Dort, Jiang, Caruso, all out. So from my count, this team only has 8 bodies available. So we're really going to have to like OKC here, whether we want to or not. It kind of feels similar to the Jazz and or the Pacers situations that we dealt with last night. It is interesting to see where some of the ownership is going. I think the starting lineup's going to have Wallace, Joe, Wiggins, both Williamses with Barnhizer, Carlson, and Youngblood coming off the bench. I guess there is a world where maybe they go bigger with Carlson at the 5. It would maybe squeeze out Joe and he would run the second unit, but I don't know that they need to go big here. Obviously, you're dealing with Wemby, but otherwise, the Spurs projected lineup is kind of small here as well. So going to spend extra time on this one. I think it deserves it. So the model in terms of ranking loves Case and Wallace. I tend to agree. He's been super productive when given the increased opportunity. We have him for more minutes than anyone on this team. And for whatever reason, he is lower owned than Williams, Carlson, and Joe over on DK. He's lower owned than Williams, and Joe. Carlson not getting too much love as a center only play on DK. But I think the easiest thing to do to get a little bit different, and you're still going to be pretty chalky, is just play a ton of Case and Wallace as long as he starts here. I like him a lot. I do trust him even more than Isaiah Joe. I do like Isaiah Joe here, but I think the ownership discrepancy between the two is wrong, if I'm being completely honest. Kenrich Williams, prefer him to be starting. Again, this is just an 8-man rotation, though, so you don't have to worry about him too much. Not often is he great on the offensive end, but with all these guys out, we saw it with the Jazz. Pretty much all their players got there just because they only had 8 bodies. Collier played 48 minutes, had his 22 assists, kind of is what it is. But I'm very comfortable getting a Wallace, Williams, Jalen Williams, Isaiah Joe, and then Aaron Wiggins. I really, really like here as well. You're paying a bit more for him. You can mix in Barnhizer, Youngblood, and Carlson, but I think Carlson's a little overowned on DK, if I'm being completely honest. And then I don't know that we're going to see more than, say, 26 minutes for Youngblood or Barnhizer. So if I'm leaving anyone out, it's those two. Hate to spend this much time talking about the Thunder. Kind of is what it is, though, right, Smitty? How are you ranking these guys today? Which of these players are you prioritizing? Is there anyone you're trying to get away from?
Yeah, I always feel pretty good about Thunder value. They still try and win no matter who plays, so I do like them quite a bit. As for how I rank them, I think Jalen Williams, the big Jalen Williams, assuming he starts, which don't see why he wouldn't. I think he looks really good with power forward eligibility, especially on FanDuel where he's at 4,200. Probably going to be one of my favorites. The only issue with him is he's probably going to be on Wemby, which sucks, but and he does have foul issues, so I will mention that at least. Wiggins, Joe, I think both look really good. Like you said, the model's pretty into Case and Wallace, so that's someone I want to kind of take a stand on, even though he's getting some ownership. I want to have more. And then Kenrich, just productive in his minutes out there. So pretty interested in Kenrich Williams as well. So is the field. But overall, it's hard to poke holes in anybody here. I think if I was to get away from one, you kind of already mentioned it, it'd be Carlson, assuming he don't start. I just think his ownership on DraftKings is a little high. And FanDuel, where you only get one center, would probably be underweight there. And then Youngblood, Barnhizer, I think are both in play. Prefer Barnhizer, just specifically on FanDuel. He's a guy that can rack up a ton of steals. Youngblood's more of just a pure scorer. But yeah, I think they're both playable, but neither one really stands out like as a must play. But overall, I think we're going to want a lot of OKC, probably at least 3 of them in every lineup, I would say.
Yeah, at least 3. 8-man rotation, especially with a couple questionable pieces, definitely goes a long way. Question from Jose here. I'm going to pose this to you. Is there anyone you want to lock in 100% of?
No, I rarely do that.
Yeah, it's scary. I'm only playing 5 or so single entry lineups. I'll say this. I'm going to have Case and Wallace in almost all of them. I'm going to have Wiggins in almost all of them. I think those two are the safest. I do like Joe a lot. Both Williamses as well. But to me, Wallace and Wiggins, especially at their ownerships, are the two I am keying in on. And if I'm ranking them, I think it'd be Wallace first. I think we have Wiggins a little low in the model. But yeah, I think the order you see here is pretty much what it should be. Is there anything crazy you're seeing in terms of OF Index, Smitty? Any rankings you change? I think if the starting lineup's what we expect, this does make sense. But again, I do want to have more Wiggins than maybe the model's recommending.
Yeah, I think that's the one that sticks out, the Wiggins. It's a little low, which is kind of surprising just with how shorthanded they are. And I don't know. I don't really know why it's so low there.
Yeah, I wonder if it's because of his rates. He's someone who's usually in the rotation playing with the starters, which could maybe drive those rates down. I think him as a primary ball handler, he can do a lot. So I do like him a lot here. But again, you're going to want to get to OKC, probably 3 or 4 at least in most of your lineups. Again, Case and Wallace, if anyone's under-owned at 40%, it's maybe him. Over on the Spurs side of things, Dylan Harper was a late downgrade. He's now questionable. Stephon Castle and Kelly Olynyk questionable here as well. Sochan and Lindy Waters are both out. Otherwise, this team's kind of healthy. But if Harper and Castle are out, that is going to make Fox look even better here. So definitely keep an eye on that situation. Wemby is Wemby. On DK at just 10K flat, even playing just 30 minutes, he should do whatever he wants in this matchup. I don't mind getting to him. Other than that, I don't know that I'm really rushing to play a ton of Spurs, even though it might make sense to have a run back. Smitty, how do you feel about San Antonio?
Pretty similar. I think Wemby is probably my favorite here. He's probably a little underpriced on DraftKings. We have a lot of good pay-ups, though, so I wouldn't say he's like a standout. But where we're playing so much OKC, I don't mind mixing in some Wemby. Other than that, though, it's kind of hard to get to anybody. With Castleback, Harper's minutes aren't as great. Otherwise, I would be pretty interested in Harper at only 4,200. If you do think this game blows out, then I think Harper could be more in play.
Yeah, no, that definitely makes sense. Harper has been playing really well, so if he does actually go, do not mind mixing him in, especially since he's the same price as a lot of the OKC value we have. Let's go ahead and move into the 10 o'clock window now. We have the Memphis Grizzlies taking on the Sacramento Kings. Very high total here, 231.5 points. Kings, slight favorites at home. Grizzlies just traded away Jaren Jackson Jr. They didn't really get a ton back, so they're going to be running a kind of thin rotation of their own here tonight. Sounds like John Morant likely has played his last game as a Grizzly as well. Not traded yet, but I do not expect him to be playing for this team anytime soon. Salty Aldama is questionable. That's the one piece we really need to keep an eye on. Clark is out. For whatever reason, Edey isn't in the injury report today, but I don't think he's playing. I think that's just an error, so maybe keep an eye on that. But Ty Jerome, the price has come up on him now, right? Still, we have him at just 20 minutes, but he played 20 minutes against Minnesota at 40 fantasy points. Game prior to that, 19 minutes, 32 fantasy points. I think he can still mix him in as a tournament play on DK, where he's 5,500. Much more difficult to get to him on FanDuel at 6,900. The guy who's probably going to benefit the most from Triple J leaving this team is going to be Gigi Jackson. He's been playing really well. We give him 29 minutes tonight, which would be the most for him in weeks. If he gets there, though, he's going to look like an excellent option. We could play him in either forward position. Going to feel even better about his minutes if Aldama is out. He is the Grizzly player I'm keying in on. Jalen Wells coming off a massive game. You could make a case for Coward over on DK, even with limited minutes, but him and Spencer with Ty Jerome back are tough to project for more than 25 or so minutes. So, in summary, I like Jerome on DK. I like Gigi Jackson a lot on both sites. Would prefer Aldama to be out. You can play some Coward on DK. I think he's a little bit over-owned, though. Smitty, how do you feel about the Grizzlies here?
Yeah, fairly thin as well. If it wasn't for OKC, I think they'd be a lot more popular. So I think Jerome's okay on DraftKings. Kind of hard with how his minutes are, though. You have to just hope he's super productive. Gigi Jackson, though, like you said, he's probably my favorite here. Even at he's low owned, so pretty interested in getting over the field there. Coward, I think, is fine. Probably a little too cheap on DraftKings. After that, Jalen Wells to me is fine, and then Santi Aldama probably going to be their starting center going against Sacramento. So it is a pretty decent matchup. So don't mind mixing him in a little bit. Other than that, it's pretty tough. Cam Spencer, I guess, with them just being so thin, I don't mind him, but that's pretty much it.
Yep, right there with you. Gigi, definitely the guy I'm keying in on. We did get a question about Gigi Jackson here saying, if Jalen Williams is going to be guarding Wemby, would it make sense to just play Gigi instead? The thing is, even if he's guarding Wemby, as long as he's not in foul trouble or completely fouling out, 8-man rotation, he's one of two bigs they have, he's going to have to play a ton of minutes. Like, are you concerned much about Williams, Smitty? I do think Gigi's like a formidable pivot, but more than anything, in your lineups without Williams, I think you want to play more Carlson. I'm not very high on Carlson because I do like Williams here, but I think that's the leverage point. How do you feel about those bigs that we're discussing?
Yeah, I think Carlson would be like the direct leverage play there. I feel pretty good about Williams still. I'm still going to have a lot, but I can't say I'm not at least a little bit concerned just about him staying out of foul trouble, but I don't know. He's going to play either way. So even if he gets 4 fouls in the first half, like he's still going to play pretty good minutes in the second half. So I think it's fine. Um, but yeah, overall, GG's probably it'd be Jalen Williams, and then I'd probably say GG and then Carlson for me.
Yeah, I agree. We're getting some questions from Be Legendary here about ownership. Is it ever higher in single entry? And to answer your question, yes, but it depends on the size of the field. If it's a small field, you're going to see higher ownerships on the popular players. And the higher dollar you go, the good chalk, quote unquote, usually does become even more popular. For example, sorting right now by ownership on DK, right? Kenrich Williams is the highest owned play. Like that is correlated to their big contest. I think the huge $15 with thousands of entries. If you're playing like $100 single entry, which has like 200 entries, that number will probably be closer to 80. For Joe, it'll be higher. It's not an exact science, but we do see ownership concentrations going up as you kind of go up in dollar or smaller in contest size. So that kind of pairs with your other question, Legendary. Do we think GG is going to be higher owned in single entry? I think he will be higher than 10%. Yeah, I would say. Over on FanDuel as well. I do think he's going to be a little bit more popular. People tend to take fewer risks in some of those smaller contests. So plays like that do tend to stand out. All right. And then I don't know if this is a bot or someone you know, Smitty. Veronica Nasty, very smitten by Smitty here. So shouts out to her. Anyway, let's get over to the Sacramento side of things. Domantas Sabonis has been on the trade block. Sounds like he's going to stick around. He's questionable. We'll see if he goes here tonight. No Keegan Murray. They did just trade for DeAndre Hunter, who should be available. Russ is back. They got rid of Dennis Schroeder. I don't know, man. Like the total's high here, but still, I'm really just not crazy about playing any of these guys. There was rumors they could maybe buy out DeRozan's contract if they can't trade him. I don't think they're going to do that. We did just get a question about Cardwell. I would say only if Sabonis is out, and even then, I think the OKC value is going to be safer. For such a high total, I wish I liked the Kings more here, Smitty. I just don't, if I'm being honest. Maybe Hunter, first game, gets a little bit more run than we're projecting him for. Don't mind maybe throwing a dart or two there, but that's probably it for me. How do you feel about the Kings?
Yeah, pretty tough team to get to. I think Sabonis, if he's in, is probably my favorite, especially on FanDuel at his price, power forward eligibility. Other than that, I think they're a pretty tough team to get to.
Yeah, I tend to agree. Let's go ahead now. It's the last game, or yeah, we got one more game here. 10:30. Cavs taking on the Clippers. Cavs just traded for James Harden from the Clippers. He will not be playing tonight, though. No Darius Garland or Evan Mobley. We mentioned earlier they did acquire Dennis Schroeder, so he's going to be part of this rotation. But still, with no Mobley, with no Garland, with no Harden, Mitchell looks like one of the best plays on the entire slate. Really, really like him on both sides if you're looking for a pay-up. He correlates well with Kawhi in this game, who's another one of our favorite pay-ups. Just keep in mind those two are going to be very popular today. Jared Allen here with no Mobley looks tremendous, coming off the best game of his career, I think. 82 fantasy points for Allen. Took 22 shots, had 17 boards, 6 stocks, 40 real points. Is he going to duplicate that? No, probably not. But is he under-owned in a matchup where the Clippers don't have Zubac? I think so. One of my favorite tournament plays on the slate is Jared Allen. Like having exposure to this late game, too, because if we get some weird news, it allows you to pivot. And then Jalen Tyson, I think, is also worth mentioning. Very, very appealing on FanDuel at 6,200. Even on DK, though. Fills that thin small forward position. Very low owned. You're paying up to get different there. But I don't mind it. Again, this team running short rotation right now. Love Mitchell, love Allen, like Tyson. Those are the 3 Cavs I'm getting to. Smitty, how about you?
Yeah, I can't say I thought Allen was even capable of putting up 82 fantasy points, but I'm pretty interested in going back. I think it's a big hit for the Clippers not having Zoo. Now you have Brook Lopez and then Y and K out there, which are not very good defensively. So pretty interested in Jared Allen. I think he's my favorite play. And then Donovan Mitchell, going to look like one of the better spin-ups. And you're also saving a roster spot. So it gives you more flexibility. Tyson on FanDuel is probably too cheap, and he's not really getting a ton of ownership. So I'm pretty interested there in a game that they're projecting to stay pretty close. So Interested in those three specifically. Marrow on FanDuel, 4,200 seems like an okay price, but that's pretty much it.
Yeah, I don't mind the Merrill shout at all. Over on the Clippers side of things, they traded Harden for Garland. Garland is not going to be available. He's still banged up. Zubac is out for personal reasons here as well. No Bradley Beal. Chris Paul got traded and then waived by Toronto. So a few moving parts. But the big news here, obviously, no Harden or Garland. Kawhi looks excellent. Underpriced. This matchup is better, obviously, with no Mobley. Some of those other Cavs unavailable. Really, really like Kawhi here. He is very popular, though. Over 50% owned on FanDuel. Try to get a little bit different with your lineups if you are playing Kawhi, but definitely one of my favorite payups tonight. John Collins is another guy who should see a big-time bump in his usage rates here. Not always the most productive. It's rare we see the ceilings, but as like a last piece in, I think he's solid. Probably gets you 30 to 35 fantasy points. If you are looking for pivots off of those OKC bigs, I guess Brook Lopez is someone you can consider. We have him for 27 minutes. It's been a long time since he's played that many. Like, I'm going through the game logs now. Like, I think we're back the day after Christmas. 33 minutes against Portland, had 46 fantasy points. So if he's going to play that many minutes, I do think he's a pretty interesting tournament pivot, albeit at center only. Other than that, it's tough. I do think Kobe Sanders and Jordan Miller are two young players this team is going to feature moving forward. Sanders' price is cheap enough you can mix him in. I don't mind a little bit of Miller, but it's kind of tough to rank them over some of the more obvious value like we have with the Thunder on this slate. But again, in summary, really, really like Kawhi here. Kind of a no-brainer. Don't mind Collins. Lopez fine as a pivot. A little bit of Sanders, Miller for me. I'd rather play both of them over a Chris Dunn. That's it for me, Smitty. I'm guessing you're going to mention Giannis here as well, but how do you feel about the Clippers?
Yeah, mainly Kawhi. I think Kawhi is a really good play. And then, like you mentioned, I think Yannick and Brook are both pretty good center plays, especially at their prices. Like Yannick is min price, could be used as a pivot to like Carlson. So I do think he's in play. Could definitely play more minutes than we have him for. Other than that, I think Kobe Sanders is fine. The minutes have been there. Not the most productive offensively, but he does a little bit of everything. Jordan Miller is a better fantasy player. So I do have some interest there, but he's priced up, so it's hard to like really jam him in. But I think either one of them are pretty good tournament plays.
Yep, I tend to agree. A few questions here. I'll just knock them out quickly. Jose saying Robinson or Lopez. If Robinson starts, it's Robinson. If he doesn't, it's Lopez. I think that's the way you handle that one, Jose. Unicorn saying any Porter from Milwaukee, 6,500. We have him at just 21 minutes, which is very, very low. Smitty, any Kevin Porter for you tonight?
No, I just don't trust the minutes.
Yeah, the minutes first came back. He's been out for a while. Kind of tough to know what to expect. I'll use the model for this last one. Rocket Sauce asking GG or Bay. I'm thinking it's Bay. He definitely has the higher ceiling, 8.8 OF index score compared to a 8.7 for GG. So it's close. I do think Bay is the higher ceiling. I think the minutes are a little bit safer for him. It's easier to build around GG, though. He's cheaper. But yeah, I think if salary doesn't matter, go with Bay. But otherwise, I am on double duty today. I'm going to be in the Discord from 6:30, taking you guys up until lock. So let's go ahead and knock out these dummy builds. We're going to start with OKC on both sites, but let's start over here on DK. Like I said, I think Cason Wallace is under-owned. Absolutely love him here. I think Wiggins is under-owned. Smitty, is it Jalen Williams next? Which are the next two Thunder, I guess I'd ask. Both Williamses?
Yeah, probably both Williamses.
Yeah, I tend to agree. We could always move Jalen to power forward, Wiggins to shooting, or we can move things around. But guys, you want your later games in these bottom spots. Just keep that in mind so we can pivot if we need to. The two most obvious payups to me today, I think, are Mitchell and Kawhi. How do you feel about them?
Yeah, I'm good with both of those.
Yeah, and I'm going to be interested to see if we can fit Allen, but I guess not. Mitchell, they don't want to put him at guard. Come on. There we go. 5,400 left per. Is there anyone else we're forgetting that's like a true core play?
No, not really.
I mean, I really like Allen. That would leave us 4K at shooting guard. Do we get Isaiah Joe? He's 46, so we can't get Allen. If we throw Joe in there, again, that's a hell of a lot of OKC. I don't mind it. We're looking at guys like McDaniels. Probably Miles Turner would be the one I'd play. Barrett. I don't know. Anyone else in this range, Smitty, you're loving? I think We either go down to Collins and upgrade Joe, or just leave Joe in and go with Miles Turner.
Yeah, I'd probably go Turner.
Yep, I like that a lot. All right, let's jump over to FanDuel real quick here as well. Same situation. We kind of have to start with OKC. Like I said, I really like Wallace here. I think Isaiah Joe looks good. Don't mind throwing him at 3,900 is just wrong.
Yeah.
Who else?
Both Williams are really cheap on FanDuel.
Yeah, is what it is. I think we got to get them both in here. Okay, so here's a question for you. Of these five, who are you leaving out? You can only play 4 on FanDuel.
Yeah, that's tough. Probably either Kaysen or Joe.
Yeah, for the ownership, let's leave. I think it's going to be Joe for me. It's scary because he can get hot. But again, you can only play 4 of them. Let's see. Are we getting to the same pay-ups as a Kawhi and Mitchell again, or is there somewhere else you really wanted to go?
No, I'm good with both of those. Kawhi, Mitchell.
Yeah, we got plenty of salary left. We could even get a third pay-up if we wanted. I do like Allen over here. We didn't get him on DK. Let's throw him in.
Yeah.
Any other guards you want to pay up for? I mean, Murray looks okay. Rollins. Fox, if Castle's out as a run back, I do like. I don't know. We also have shooting guard. Maybe Rollins we go, and that leaves us where?
Yeah, there's
Pritchard?
Yeah, Rollins. Yeah, I don't mind that.
Yeah, Pritchard with no Jaylen Brown makes a lot of sense. Can also go with Derek White, flip the guards around, something like this, guys. But playing a lot of OKC tonight kind of is what it is. Necessary evil. There's only 8 of them in that rotation, so you're probably fine. Just got to hope the ones that you play. Best spend up, James. For me, it's Kawhi and Mitchell. Smitty, how about you?
Yeah, same here.
And best value, I think we're looking at OKC. It's the Williamses, it's Wallace, Joe, Wiggins. But yeah. All right, guys, I'm going live in the Discord, so I'm going to cut things off a couple minutes earlier today. But again, appreciate you tuning in. As always, keep an eye on the news, the lineups. It's the trade deadline. Things can definitely change. Make sure you have a plan to pivot and you're near your computer, keeping an eye on the news throughout the night. Get in the Discord. If you're not a member already, just $7 per week, point of entry. You get access to the model. You get access to the voice channel where I will be talking through any lineup changes from now up until lock. But appreciate you all being here. Should be another fun one tonight. Smitty, any last words before we get out of here?
No, good luck tonight.
Love it. Take care, everyone. Have a good one.